My name is Charlie Robinson. I am the author of The Octopus of Global Control. And this is a chapter called What a Dick. Quote, being called a traitor by Dick Cheney is the highest honor you can give an American. And the more panic talk we hear from people like him, the better off we all are. Edward Snowden. You can say what you want about Snowden. Maybe you believe him, maybe you don't. But he was dead on with that one. And you know, George W. Bush has been branded as being a complete moron, which of course he really is. However, you got to give him credit for having the insight to elect Dick Cheney as his, or to choose Dick Cheney as his running mate for vice president, because that all but assured him of not getting assassinated, because Dick Cheney as the president would have been catastrophic, although I think a lot of people would agree that he probably was the president during those days. But here's some of Dick Cheney's famous lies, and there are so many to sift through, it's kind of hard to pick, but here we go. The issue is that Saddam has chemical weapons. Simply stated, there is no doubt that Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction. We do know with absolute certainty that Saddam is using his procurement system to acquire the equipment he needs in order to enrich uranium to build a nuclear weapon. We now have irrefutable evidence that Saddam has once again set up and reconstructed his program to take uranium, to enrich it to sufficiently high grade so that it will function as the base material as a nuclear weapon. And there's no doubt about the fact that the level of effort has escalated in recent months. All of this stuff is complete bullshit. None of this is true. And it's not like he got bad information. I mean, he made up this information. I mean, he knows it's not true. He's passing this off with a straight face. We know, for example, that prior to our going in, that Saddam had spent time and effort acquiring mobile biological weapons labs, and we're quite confident he did, in fact, have such a program. We found a couple semi-trailers at this point. I can't even read this with a straight face. At this point, which we believe were, in fact, part of that program. I would deem that conclusive evidence, if you will, that he did, in fact, have programs for weapons of mass destruction. I mean, all of that is bullshit. But this is where it gets really funny. I think they're in the last throes, if you will, of the insurgency. Dick Cheney said this June 20th, 2005. Well, congratulations, you're only off by a decade. I don't think that the war in Iraq damaged our reputation around the world. I guess that depends on what you believe our reputation around the world was prior to Iraq. I think things have gotten so bad inside Iraq from the standpoint of the Iraqi people. My belief is we will, in fact, be greeted as liberators. 2003. You suck at predictions, Dick. You really do. There's overwhelming evidence that there was a connection between Al-Qaeda and the Iraqi government. No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. You just made that up. That is complete and utter bullshit. But here's something that Dick didn't say, but Tom Daschle said, former Senator Tom Daschle. It is true that the Vice President has requested on several occasions that we not have an investigation into this issue. What issue is he referring to? The investigation into 9/11. Dick Cheney does not want people investigating 9/11. Why? I mean, if you had nothing to do with it, I mean, if it was Al-Qaeda, then wouldn't you want an investigation in there? Or maybe you know something we don't know. I think we're in agreement, most people at least are in agreement, that Dick Cheney is a horrible human being and an evil son of a bitch. But when it comes to people that are just plain infuriating, I put Donald Rumsfeld at the top of the list. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. Here's a lot of people at my age just think that he was in the Bush W administration. They don't really know his background. The fact that he was in the Nixon administration. He was assistant to the president from 69 to 72, chief of staff under Gerald Ford from 74 to 75, and Secretary of Defense from 75 to 77. So by the time he got into the Bush W, Boy George administration, he had a lot of experience in government. But this is vintage Rumsfeld right here. I can't tell you if the use of force in Iraq today would last 5 days or 5 weeks or 5 months, but it certainly isn't going to take any longer than that. 2002. 5 months, huh? Over a decade. It's an understatement to say that Donald Rumsfeld has a hard time with the truth, but you would think as much lying as he does that he would be better at it, but he's really bad. I mean, he's really not good at this. Something under $50 billion for the cost. How much of that would be the U.S. burden and how much would be other countries is an open question. This is Rumsfeld calculating what he thought the Iraq war was going to cost. He said $50 billion. Would you like to take a wild guess at what it is, calculated as of right now? $2.1 trillion. This is 140 times more. The entire borrowing the money, the interest in it over time, that $2 trillion will actually convert to about $7 trillion when you factor in all of the additional interest, the burden on veterans returning home, all that stuff. But if you want to just boil Rumsfeld down to one sentence, this is it, or one phrase. There are known knowns. These are things that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, these are things that we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. These are things we don't know. I fucking hate this guy. Oh my God. I just want to hit him with a big pie in the face. Bam! Take that, you fucking maniac. We know where they are. Iraq's weapons of mass destruction. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad and east, west, south, and north somewhat. Donald Rumsfeld. Perfect. That's exactly. Thank you for clarifying absolutely nothing, you maniac.